It does for sure. I really like what the panel was talking about as well in terms of the different mentality that both teams have going into this one. It is the unstoppable force that Tundra have with all their damage versus the immovable object that Cloud9 has. All of that ability to just shrug off this damage is pretty impenetrable. It's going to come down to the initiation coming through, right? Like, how are you going to be actually getting onto the backlines? Are you going to be able to find someone and be able to lock them down hard enough? Or are you going to be able to kite out a lot of these defensive abilities? Because they've got the capabilities to do that for sure on Tundra's side.
Kind of a similar style of draft to what we saw yesterday as well, right? With the Centaur and the Templar Assassin, when we got the Wind Ranger from Monet, from G2IG. And it seemed like, I know the panel was kind of discussing a little bit on maybe how different it would be with the Whirlwind facet from the Wind Ranger, but it still seemed super difficult for her to actually get into the middle of the fights with the Retaliate, with the Blade Mail. And then we saw a very early MKB from Watson, and Watson was just able to completely stand his ground and really just shrug off any threat of the Wind Ranger being an issue. And do you see that kind of being like a similar case to what we saw yesterday?
I think, again, it really does come down to the initiation, right? Like, Crimson Guard's one of those things that can be purged off. So if you're hitting a tornado once there's a full team Crimson Guard, great, you can actually look to go in. If you see the Blade Mail get popped, just retreat back. You can, look to try and re-engage, because look at all the movement abilities that they've got on the Tundra side, right? They've got Wind Run, they've got Leap, they've got Rebound, they've got Mars Blink. That's not exactly super mobile, but even Invoker just with a Ghost Walk, right? You're going to be able to create that little bit of space and then find the initiation when you want it. Number one target for them, of course, is going to be this freaking Tinker, because as soon as it came out, I was like, oh god, it's a Tinker game. It's only been picked up 3 times so far at TI so far. That's just because it's been banned a hell of a lot.
For anyone that is been living under a rock for the past month or maybe a little bit less and hasn't particularly seen this Tinker, especially as a support, do you want to kind of fill people in on what has changed with this hero and why we're actually seeing it as a support?
Repair bots is the way. It's you march the machines, now applies a heal over time when it passes through people. So you just lay it down in a lot of these team fights, you spam out those defense matrices, and it's very, very hard to be able to go through you. But like they were mentioning at the very end of the panel, this Invoker, if Thompson plays it quite well, which I think he has been. I think he's won like 6 of his past 7 competitive games on the hero, so clearly he's in the mood for it. You just shrug off so much, right? You get rid of the Warcry pre-shard, you get rid of the Crimson Guard, you get rid of the defense matrix. All this sort of stuff is going to be a big deal if they're going to be able to burst them down, and they have the burst for sure on Tundra, especially considering that even though this is a support Mirana, that Solar Flare is nuts, especially when you've got it with the Wind Ranger and the Marcy. That is a lot of additional damage coming out.
I know we've been kind of speaking a lot recently over the position 4s being incredibly greedy, and I know you were saying yesterday, like, I mean, there's I will bring this up first here. There's some ex-teammates going at it as well. We've got to keep in mind. I mean, DM teamed with Ramses on VP and kind of that outsiders roster. Then no one teamed with Thompson for a little bit on OG. So there is a bit that is in this, so to say.
I mean, no one and Ramses, let's go back even a couple more years, right? That unstoppable VP roster, they were together for a big part of that that VP domination.
Yes, indeed. So this is gonna be a fun one, and I think a lot of people are expecting this to be a very close series as well. I mean, we saw, of course, yesterday Cloud9 with a 2-0 over G2IG, and that was a very dominating 2-0. And then Tundra, a 1-1 versus Talon 2. Actually lost to G2IG, who again really didn't look good in the series we casted. So I don't know what to make of that, but I guess this will be the true test, and we'll see if they have the lineup, and of course if they're able to execute it. Though that is the big question.
He has to be a little careful here, but maybe just feeling like he's just gonna let them know about those repair bots, just to say, you know what, you can't walk up into me. No, it does mean that they miss out on that bounty rune. I mean, it could just be morning Dota though, Aries. Like, it's the bane of my existence in pubs, and for a lot of these players, morning Dota is just not the the sort of thing that they want to be going into.
Hopefully they got enough coffee. We'll see if they come prepared. No, Panel was speaking a lot about the mid lane with no one. I mean, a very, very old mid laner who has a diverse hero pool and has been really rising back to the top of the mid laners. Okay, bottom lane, Ramses. A lot of pressure, Fishman and Watson. Doing a good job to be able to push the Mars back. Fishman needing one more right click's not going to be able to find it though.
Probably would have died if he had a mud grenade on top of that. Watson was just sitting in the lane for a long time with the meld used, so they ended up getting a couple of them off back to back. So good juking through the trees by Ramses to make sure that he doesn't feed that early first blood.
But yeah, back to mid. I know again. Okay, never mind. Ramses, Fishman's not pretty low. Ramses might be able to step back. And the last right click and secure first blood. That's going to enable him to bring out a brace up, maybe a little bit of extra regen as well. So a good start. Mid lane, no one. Okay. I mean, this is a solo kill. And yeah, let's go back to this, man. I mean, he previously in those years, like you were saying on that VP roster, this was the mid laner. I mean, this guy completely dominated for such a long time. Sarks is almost going to die bottom, not to be, but you know, he's in a matchup that we're seeing Invoker, like you picked this for Thompson, and it should be pretty decent for Invoker, but no one's he's an incredible mid laner in really good form right now.
I wonder how your mentality does change around this though, right? Because no one, like they were saying on the panel, you kind of need to build around this Leshrac to be, you know, a big damage source or a big part of your win condition. And he's gone the misanthropy facet, so you're not going to be doing any damage to buildings. You're really just going to need to be grouping around Watson to be able to get a lot of that tower damage done. Might also mean that Thompson is freed up a little bit more to be able to make some of these rotations elsewhere because there's not that same level of danger of your mid tower going down essentially for free.
Last lane up top, we do see some spells getting traded back and forth between C9 and Tundra. It's like at the moment, both cores off to a pretty good time. See DM again going for the horsepower with the facet as well. So double bracer potentially into the triple. Are we expecting this to be a brawl heavy lane, or are both the cores going to be pretty happy?
I think it just really depends on some of these cooldowns, right? Like that March of Machines, it's got 35 seconds, level 1. So they're just going to be looking to try and wait that out. And as soon as it expires, maybe they go for a play here. They're pinging on Kataomi, but just not quite ready to go in that top lane just yet. Maybe just waiting for a level 3 timing.
Got those Lotuses coming up. See if there's going to be a fight for them though. Bottom. Yeah, that Saksa will find the Lotus, and it looks like top Kataomi is going to be able to get that one as well. So, on for one. Saksa's actually going to go for a kill onto Fishman, who's completely out of regen, and
he's dead.
Should be a solo kill for the Mirana. Nicely done, Saksa. Off to a great start here, assisting with the first blood for Ramses, and now being able to find the Sven without the protection of the Templar Assassin.
It is unfortunate that then they're not going to be able to play with 9 class because he did add something very different to this Tundra roster, right? He's one of the few that is actually playing like the Leshrac support, and his Batrider is out of this world good. Rubik, same sort of deal. But when you could just say, you know what, let's get a TI winner and a TI runner-up in just as our standard, you got to feel pretty happy.
Yeah, with that, and we're already seeing the synergy, honestly. I mean, Saksa and Ramses has been an impressive start to the lane, and would very much continue to be the case as well. Eyes on what Sarks is going to be able to do through the next couple of minutes. Do you feel like he will still need to stay around bottom to help the Mars, or will you look to play with the Invoker early on?
I'd be looking to try and... I don't think there's super heavy kill potential when you're rotating towards this Thompson lane, right? That's the thing. You don't have a bottle. You don't need these power roots quite as much when compared to the Leshrac, right? So I think you're just going to put a little bit more focus on Watson because, again, with that Leshrac facet, you're not taking towers. It's all going to be on Watson. So if they're looking to try and open up the map, you got to try and make sure this TA doesn't have a good game.
Okay. We did see yesterday the Templar Assassin went for kind of a... Did he even go Deso now? I don't even remember.
Might have been like 5th item.
Okay. Would you like that to be different just because you don't have the Lesh to be the tower sieger, or it's still not that much of a concern?
I don't think you're necessarily worried about burst in a huge way. You just need to make sure that you're as far back as possible. I think Fear mentioned it on the panel, right? You're going to have a Centaur standing in front. You're going to have a Sven, not necessarily in front, but, you know, soaking up a ton of the damage. So if you could just get like a Dragon Lance, you know, Blightstone, nice little way to be able to just extra a little bit of chip into the tower, you could feel very safe as they're actually maybe go for a dive.
Oh, very awkward pathing. Ramses still has the spear. Looks like we'll be able to push the TA away, and Ramsey's going to be okay.
That was after he used the meld as well, that spear, so even puts it on cooldown a little bit as the side blade's nearly taken him out.
This is super similar to what we saw yesterday, no? Like already this tower, you know, they're being able to pretty much deny almost a full wave under it. Ramsey's missing a lot without Saksa.
Still getting the experience though, right? And we mentioned that that is going to be a really big deal whenever you're playing alongside this Wind Ranger, especially with that that Whirlwind Focus Fire, right? You just stop the Centaur, Stampede, Runaway, and you also enable so much of that extra damage to come through.
This Wind Ranger is off to a great start though, Pure. 35 and 10. See Bracer with the wand and the gloves, so he's already got the treads coming out as well. There's going to be a bit of a brawl around the mid lane. Power Rune is at the ready. No one, unfortunately, they're going to get the Illusion Rune denied, which would be quite nice, especially against something like the Cold Snap.
Will still most likely... Oh, Sucks are going to be able to yoink this Bounty Rune away. That'd be a pretty big deal. Not wanting to use the extra leap charge until the very end. But yeah, I mean, no one had that Bounty Rune denied away. Sorry, the Power Rune is forced to move back to the Bounty Rune, means that Topson gets a little bit of space for himself. And if he was denied both of those, he would have had to basically go all the way back to base because of his mana situation.
Do you see the question of what the build's going to be from Topson? The panel is wondering. It is answer now. Looks like the Witchblade is currently queued up. It's no Midas, nothing like that. Oh, sorry, the Mage though, not the Witchblade.
I don't hate it. I mean, you are going to have to deal with a lot of this magic damage coming through. Outside of the TA, it's pretty much exclusively magic damage coming your way, so I don't mind it at all.
Fish. Almost.
TP from Topson. But yeah, you're even going to have to, you know, be able to nullify a little bit of that retaliate damage, right? With the Mage Slayer, which will feel very nice.
Nice leeward from Kataomi over towards the Radiant Triangle, where he was able to get the read that White Mom snuck inside and was trying to scout out the stacks that was going on from the Tinker. So they're doing a really good job to protect the area. We see the cliff ward by the secret shop over to the right side as well, by the top rune. There's another observe ward as well. So they're really wanting to try and secure this area. I suppose not even just for the Leshrac early on with the stacks, but of course the Templar Assassin one wants to go back there and farm it.
Just on the topic of Tundra again, with the differences between Saxa and 9 Class, I think that's another thing that 9 Class really brought as a point of difference, right? We've casted games together where he did like 18 stacks or something like that, something ridiculous. Now, they don't necessarily have amazing heroes at being able to take those stacks, but certainly Wind Ranger, now that the Whirlwind Facet is a whole lot more popular, Mars with a God's Rebuke, you can look to really get a lot of that flash farm up pretty quickly. No stacks at this point for Tundra. It's all on the C9 side.
So again, how different is this playstyle now with the Invoker? We're not getting the Coswex. So we're not getting the Urn build with this Mage Slayer. Is it going to be a bit more passive here for Topson?
He is basically the anti-no-one / anti-auras that's coming through. It kind of feels like the old Razor as like the anti-carry. This is just the anti-Leshrac. Like, stopping a ton of damage that is going to be coming out is going to be the name of the game for him. Which, I mean, you've got plenty of damage coming from other sources, right? I mentioned the Solar Flare already. Wind Ranger, I wouldn't be surprised if that was easily #1 damage this entire tournament so far. Even Marcy, as a position 5, once you pop that Solar Flare and the Unleash, it is a crazy amount of damage that you're popping out. I mean, just have a look at Solar Flare, right? Like, 80 extra damage that you get after 6 seconds of it being active for another 12 seconds. That's nuts, especially considering how fast Marcy is hitting with the Unleash, plus Sidekick. Like, they're going to be dealing so much damage if they're able to find people, and that's really going to be, in my opinion, the takeaway from this game. How good is C9's formation? How good is their vision that they're able to set themselves up appropriately so that when they do eventually go for these tower sieges and these team fights, you're not getting one of your key heroes for your immense shield strategy wiped out at the very start.
Question marks, and we're good to go. Would you, are you hoping that maybe the Marcy, I know it's a position 5 instead of the 4, but plays a little bit more greedy this game? Because we have seen what this hero can do, with like maybe phase boots BKB or something like that. Would you like Whitemon to try and find farm across the map?
Yeah, I certainly wouldn't hate the phase boots BKB style, just because I feel like you need a way to be able to, again, get in onto the back lines. I don't think you can completely leave that up to Ramses. Mars, in my opinion, works better as like that second wave of initiation. Speaking of Ramses, he's standing right next to Fishman right now in the tree line. Gonna go for it.
They're coming down. I mean, Ramses half health already. TPs will come through, but the arena, can he get on the outskirts? Turns with the spear. Gives him enough time to retreat away, and now with Pure's damage along with Thompson's rotation, there's going to be a great response out of Tundra. Then they'll be rewarded with a double kill. Pure very close now to the Maelstrom, and he may stick around to get a little bit of damage in the tower as well. So great response from the boys on Dire.
And that's the positive side of Ramses getting that first blood, right? Meant that he got into those braces a little bit sooner, meant that he was able to just get that item progression moving faster and faster. So he survives that gank attempt, and you just see the power of the Wind Ranger, right? We talk about the overwhelming damage that this hero has, but that is without the Solar Flare, right? You've got even more damage potential coming very, very shortly. He's going to yoink away a few of these camps. Looks like it'll just be the hard camp for now. Although, might have overstayed his welcome a little bit. Doesn't have any deep charges for him.
So extra bounty for no one.
You have learned nothing.
And we are going to see, though, this is a bit of a advantage that Tundra are going to play with this. Tier 1 tower is already going to get claimed bottom, and we will see Cloud9 are going to have a rougher time to be able to open up the map. Pure is already going to go back to top. We could see that next arena be used maybe to secure mid if they want to fight around there, potentially even to defend their own safe lane tower as well. Maybe Cloud9 don't really care about this, but do you feel like it might restrict the map a little bit with, you know, again, the less track facet?
Absolutely, and the thing is as well, they have very little playmaking potential for quite some time. You know, we mentioned what the Centaur is going to build with the Retaliate already maxed out, going for the Blade Mail, just 40 gold away, but, you know, TA needs to get into that Dragonlance. TA probably wants a Blink Dagger, honestly, before she even attempts to go for any of these tower sieges.
How aggressive we're seeing Tundra play. I mean, Ramses and Thompson in combination together inside this Radiant jungle, so Watson can't, you know, farm the area. Also makes it very easy for them to wrap behind the tier 1 tower and maybe set up on a support that's currently farming.
We've also got the Tinker almost level 7, so that March of the Machines is going to be maxed out very shortly, continuing to make a bunch of stacks and working his way into the Holy Locket as well. So you've really got to find a way to... Yes, it's good that they've been able to take that tower early on, but you've got to find a way to be able to instantly make a play again, now that you've got this Solar Flare available, now that you've got abilities to be able to jump in onto the back line.
And do you like the fact that the Tinker is the one taking the stacks, or would you prefer someone else?
I think it's important to rush that sort of thing, because I think they know that the wave of aggression is coming shortly from Tundra's side, right? You just got to be able to withstand it for now.
Blink first on no one.
I guess he feels very secure in the fact that he's going to have his boys backing him up.
I mean, 0-4-4 build, so once again into the middle with the Diabolic Edict.
Slow's going out.
Playing behind no one. They're going to try and stop with the Tornado to set up for the arrow. Have they got the damage just between the two? It looks like they're getting pretty close, and that'll be the case. Thompson, another kill going Tundra's way, and now you see the response as well. Whitemon along with Ramses here. They're going to look to try and convert this into a tower, and they have a lot of damage with the Unleash along with the Alacrity.
They even had a couple of seconds left on the Solar Flare as well. It was very important that they actually did pop that glyph then. I know it's not going to be refreshed because you've already lost your tier 1 bottom, but that tower would have legitimately died in about 5 seconds if they didn't use the glyph then. Just gives them a little bit of extra time to potentially move out on the map, get some farm elsewhere. Now though, Saxa is just keeping an eye on Fishman. Maybe if he moves far enough away, you could potentially look to go for a kill onto DM, but I'm sure they're keeping in mind that that Blade Mail is available. And they'll take Fishman instead.
They will, but they haven't scouted out this cliff ward. So maybe this is something that Tundra can look to use to their advantage, but the movements from them have been very clean early on. Impressed with what we're seeing out of, you know, the Mirana combining with a lot of these plays, and Thompson with the Mage Slayer looking to try and move over towards his top side of the map.
Again, it's about wanting the backside, right? They know that they've got no Observer Ward, no Sentry up covering this top side, so who are they going to be able to pick off? Thompson doesn't have the damage quite yet to be like solo killing Watson. It's going to be the job of the rest of the boys to be able to just join in and help him get the secure. We see the damage coming through from Saxa in that previous engagement was absolutely there. He's maxed out the Starstorm, he's got the Solar Flare available in another 40 seconds. I think Thompson was just looking for a support that might have been farming off on their own, but Kataomi, his positioning has been pretty good so far, protecting his life, 0-0-0 on this Tinker, and he's got the Holy Locket now.
Thompson breaks the smoke as well, which was the Leshrac in combination with the Sven. So it's been very frustrating for them to deal with. The first kind of movement we've actually seen out of Cloud9 with the blink from the Lesh. So that's not going to connect, and that gives him some information for Tundra to work with.
Yeah, it's a 2-7 kill score. It's a 2k net worth lead, but I don't think they've lost that much on Cloud9, right? They are not ready to fight, not yet. They've just got the Holy Locket, like I've been saying. Sven, just a bit, well, he's level 6 now. You've got the Leshrac, who's got the Blink Dagger. You're very, very close to being able to get a Blink on your Centaur and your TA as well, right? That's the timing that they're waiting for to be able to, you know, continue pushing on forward, start taking a few towers of their own.
The smoke from them, Thompson. Actually catch Kataomi just before the teleport away. Radiant are starting to converge down there. Even going to TP the Sven along with DM to the outpost. Kataomi, he's taken a long time to be killed off, and now, I mean, Dyro trying to mirror this move, but they might
not dying.
Latest Thompson, he's caught out with the no one Leshrac on top of the Invoker. They're not done just yet. No damage to be able to stop the blink away. Unfortunately, that will probably spell the end.
No one's got blink
going to blink up in a couple of seconds, and Watson's position on the high ground. They'll get a glimpse of Ramses, tries to follow up with a stun, but that'll be just shy.
And now you see why we groaned that sigh as soon as we saw that Tinker first pick. That's the sort of thing that you can get out of a support Tinker, you know, just drops down the Seeds of Serenity, had, I think, 18 charges in his Holy Locket, and that marched the Machines and Defense Matrix going. So it's very frustrating and really shows the importance of having to have multiple heroes to be able to take out this pesky guy.
Fishman's positioning, playing over to the right side where Watson's currently farming the Ancients. So making sure he puts himself as the first point of contact to help his Templar Assassin farm freely. And they want to take the fight. They're going to jump. This is the area they want to continue to control, and they will be able to do so. Now Ramses, it's a blink away. Sarksa can also escape. They've got this high ground ward to play with, but it's a little bit messy from Tundra. Thompson, he doesn't have this reposition, so he's still going to be caught out. Dean with a jump over the low ground. 2 free kills for Cloud9, and now Ramses, he's going to be caught up too as well. So Cloud9, they're going to be able to fight back here. So much needed kills for them. They'll continue to defend their high ground, and now this net worth lead, it's actually into Radiant's favor.
This is what we were talking about, right? As long as you've got that formation correctly set up, you called it out perfectly, right? Fishman just being there to be on the front lines, make sure that if any sort of smoke is going to run into him first, and then using those timings, using the Blink Dagger to jump in with one of your tankiest heroes in the Centaur. TA had the Blink Dagger delivered at the very end of that fight as well, so you even had further potential to jump in and continue making those plays.
How do we feel overall with the status of this game? You know, of course, a little bit of momentum is now going to go to Cloud9 after that teamfight victory, but do you feel like there is a side heading into the mid game with it being even? They're going to be favored?
Like, the next 5 or so minutes is Cloud9's time, right? They're just wanting to try and push out these lanes a little bit. For Tundra, they need to hit their next big item timings. You know, Thompson, he's working on a Dragonlance for himself, just for more right clicks, right? You've got the Alacrity that you're going to be able to play with. You've got that Solar Flare. That really feels like the cooldown that Tundra are going to need to look to play with, right? Because if you don't have that Solar Flare, a lot of that damage really isn't going to be all that impactful. And you've got to be very mindful of reaching these timings quickly as well, because again, DM's working on that Crimson Guardian and is going to be incredibly effective against this lineup.
Not a bad neutral item for Pure though with the Grobo. D-Lance high attack speed here for the Wind Ranger, and see if he's going to be able to get that damage out like you're seeing even with this Crimson Guardian. Thompson's spell casting if it's going to be on point with the Tornado, but bottom lane, they do see Waimon under this Observe Ward. Like Waimon's going to be able to get the D Ward, and no one else will be able to think about teleporting in to maybe catch out the Marcy, because they were looking to try and secure the shield rune for no one.
The absolute dream for C9 would be just, you know, sitting back for the next couple of minutes, hitting some of their bigger aggressive item timings, getting into that Deso now for Watson, use that to really quickly secure the Tormentor, get a free Aghanim Shard for the Sven, and then use that to be able to, you know, push on forward and have a little bit more of that luxury of having all of that extra armor that's not dispellable.
See another aggressive smoke out of C9. Will be towards bottom, and they might run into Whitemon. Actually not, they're going to try and change their direction, go towards the triangle. No one is currently home though, so
Found him.
So just be able to go back over. I believe he walked over a trap. So they'll get the freebie. Definitely not the kill they were hoping for in Cloud9. But it's something, I suppose.
It's something, but Whitemon was in the right position, right? Like, he was pushing out the lane, he popped the smoke, 3 heroes, wasted about 30 seconds on the map just for 1 kill. So, very, very nicely done by him. Even got the Philosopher's Stone as well, so not even sacrificing too much of his own net worth.
Lane, who they got, Ramsey's stampede in, and that's going to assist with the further kill. 8 now to the boys on Cloud9. Tier 1 tower's going to go down as well, so there's past movements from them. They've brought this game back. Not that it was too large of a deficit at all, but they are looking very good once they've been able to find their items.
With those 3 braces, even Fishman is able to assist a fair amount with being able to take that tower with the God Strength as well. There was no TA there, which I thought that might take quite some time to be able to take it out, but it was just because he's been focusing more on farming than looking to try and open up the map too much. Really, the only time that he was involved with that at all was after that previously successful team fight, and instantly makes the move towards this Tormentor right at the 20-minute mark as well.
So impressive, the net worth that all the cores have on Cloud9 when you take a look at the Tinker's net worth. Like, often when you see a position 4 be this greedy, one of the cores will often take a hit and have a difficult time to be able to keep up, but that is really not proving to be the case.
No, absolutely not. Kataomi has been taking a lot of the more dangerous farm, but just because of some of the movements by Fishman, it really feels like a team performance, right? The warding, the movements from the Sven. Happy to give up his. Died 5 times, but it's taken quite a lot of time to be able to take him out a lot of these, in a lot of these instances. So you've got nearly a level 13 Tinker. He's almost got the full Guardian Greaves. He's got the Holy Locket. Like, damn, how do you burst through this?
And something you were mentioning as well was that Tormentor for Cloud9, and you do get the shot on the Sven. So you have this now available. And of course, the panel is mentioned a lot is like, is there just going to be a severe lack of damage for Tundra? And of course, they don't die to the Tormentor as well. Very close, but here we go. Here are all these items. I mean, I guess 600 gold away. And then you got the Greaves, and all the items are online for Cloud9. And what do we want to see when that is the case? Are you looking towards Roshan if you're raiding? Are you looking to maybe even go for a different objective?
You could potentially go for Roshan, or I think you can just very easily sit yourself behind the TA and take towers, right? Because how are you going to be able to burst through all of this? You know, you've got all of that protection that you need to go through first before you even start doing damage to the refraction instances. So he's going to be able to blink away unless your stun lock is absolutely perfect. So, you know, it's really just going to be up to Cloud9, basically. They get to make the choice of what objective that they're looking to go for. And they're instantly actually going to make this movement happen as soon as that Deso comes out for Watson. Love this. Like, he's been so on point with hitting his timings and instantly moving into the right position so that he doesn't even waste 5 seconds. There we go. Straight onto Ramses.
And an easy pickoff. Just run straight under the trap. Not much you're going to be able to do. Still, some heroes are smoked as well. So DM and Fishman maybe thinking they can get a +1 to the triangle. No one's home, but maybe if they go further to the south, they are currently venturing out inside the lane. Pure's going to show. Whitemon will actually break the smoke, so maybe giving them an opportunity to react. Pure's still going to run forward the back of the lane. In with the stun, but everyone else actually TP to the outpost, so a little bit messy.
Nice tornado.
They don't have all the reinforcements to be able to set up that initiation. Now, no one's still going to try and jump in the middle, but the BKB protects Pure. He's going to be able to charge for Pure. Still
the
falling.
damage.
It doesn't matter. Look at the damage, man. Pure, along with Tundra, they bite back. Cloud9 runs straight under the tier 1 tower, and Tundra, they were ready.
That was a little bit of that poor formation that we were talking about, right? They didn't have all 5 there. Kataomi was on the other side of the map, just wanting to finish up the rest of his Guardian Greaves. You had, you know, Sven just joining in a little bit late there. You didn't quite have the TA, who was, at that point, you know, equal most farmed on the map. But Pure joining in, able to obviously contribute with that Solar Flare. You just see a huge amount of damage coming out there. Nearly 6k from the Wind Ranger alone.
It definitely seemed a little unfortunate though, because they were expecting Pure to run to the south, so they were starting to TP to the outpost. If they actually kept running, then they would have been there to combine up with that hook stunt from DM, but unfortunately not to be. Like you said, you see the positioning from Thompson just breaks the combo, and now this is an Aegis that you've given over to Pure, and he is skyrocketing up there in net worth.
It's always been a big plus for Pure, right? Like, man knows how to farm, man knows how to get net worth, and he's just shown it time and time again. again. I'd just have to say Topson was probably, like, it was such a minor thing, but just that tornado to be able to slow things down, to make sure all of the mana was drained. Like, what are you supposed to do against that, right? Like, it just nullified basically every form of initiation that they had at the time. And he's not even falling behind in net worth either. Not at all. One of the big criticisms that a lot of people have about this hero is that unless you go the Midas, you're just going to find yourself falling further and further behind. He is third on net worth right now, despite going down early in that laning stage to no one.
And one of the better invokers out there, so see how he's going to be able to perform with this specific item build. Damage was something that was in question, and with him getting a lot of these items, and like you're saying, in combination with the Solar Flare, actually might not prove to be an issue.
I mean, Pure doesn't care. He's got the Grove Bow, he's got the Dragon Lance, he's just solo sieging this bottom tower, because why not, right? He's got the second life. If you're going to initiate onto him, you're going to have to put yourself out of position into a bad spot. So he's very happy to be the one just standing on the front lines right now. And I think that's kind of what Cloud9 should have been doing previously when they had that advantage after a couple of really good team fights for them.
Radiant's bottom tower has fallen.
So now what's the call then for Cloud9? You've given up this previous team fight, you've given up the Aegis advantage, now a T2 tower down bottom. Do you go back to kind of what worked for you, with just controlling the triangle?
I think it's a little bit too late to just control the triangle. I think that's a bit too passive. They need to be the ones out there on the map trying to force a bit more of a defensive rotation from Tundra, whether that be in the form of taking towers, still remains to be seen. Maybe they do feel really anxious about having even the damage to be able to go through Pure twice, right? Because you've still got 3 minutes left on this Aegis, but I really see it going both ways. But I don't want to see them just hold up in the jungle, because I feel like Tundra are going to take away way too much of your map if you do so.
Saxon might run under the trap up top. If there's going to be an opportunity for them, no one's going to jump out of the trees, and Watson's hitting him. More inside the mid lane as well. We see another kill going on. Fishman is going to have a couple of Tundra heroes pop out of nowhere. So it'll be a 1-for-1. I believe that is a dieback, because we saw the buyback previously from Fishman. So 60 seconds without the Sven.
I wonder if they do even want to fight now, though, on C9, right? That's the big thing. The arena was used to be able to kill that Sven, and yes, you don't have him for a full minute. That really does enable your Stampede quite heavily. Seems like for now, they just want to try and play everywhere else except for where Tundra is right now. Shove out both side lanes.
I think they got a glimpse of no one down bottom. They're going to see DM now under the ward. It's like both will try and TP over towards the outpost. Unfortunately, a little bit too late. Topson was instantly moving down to bottom when they got that glimpse, but not be able to convert on maybe an opportunity.
Watson actually TP'd all the way back to base, so they're going to need to be very careful here on no one. He does decide to stick around on the top side. He's doing what we were saying, right? Forcing perhaps some defensive movements to come out from Tundra. You can see it's even just Kataomi putting himself up there on the top side, trying to force them back, push people back so that they're not actually taking advantage of this Aegis in its fullest capacity. It's got 90 seconds or so left on it. Not sure if this is the right sort of area that you want to be getting kills. Yes, Kataomi is important to kill. Looks like they should be able to do so.
Stampede's going to try and help out. They've also been able to intercept some of the reinforcements. DM also gets caught. Topson and Ramses, they're going to be able to run into the Centaur. It's close to the T1 tower, so Cloud9 TPing some heroes, but in fact, DM's just out. He sees at least the ability to be able to escape with the teleport. All the stuns used, and nice read from Fishman and Watson. They were starting to edge their way over, but it was not a fight that they wanted to take.
It wasn't for sure. I mean, I think they're just saying we have to just wait out this Aegis timing, right? The downside, of course, is that now with these kills, Pure is 404. He has absolutely found his way. He's level 20, so he's got that reduced damage reduction from the focus fire. So all outer towers are going to be claimed in the duration of this Aegis. Probably not the absolute ideal that they were hoping for on Tundra. Maybe looking to try and invade the high ground just once, but
yeah. Okay, we'll see if they're going to be able to make the jump. Arena is there from Ramses. They've got a ward on the high ground as well. Ramses was waiting to get the Arena onto 2, and now Pure's going to be here with the damage. Yeah, the Crimson's there, but it doesn't matter. Pure, I mean, Crystallis, give him the Alacrity, the Solar Flare. The damage is really there.
Yep. And, like, he's got more crit to come eventually. He's going for the Satanic just so that he can be a little bit more survivable. He knows that no one hasn't really been part of these past few engagements, but you know, you don't really care about all of these Diabolic Edicts or anything like that if you've just got the Satanic to be able to pop mid-whirlwind.
Dire's bottom tower.
They're kind of breathing a sigh of relief, honestly. Not unless Watson still gets caught, but the fact that they Tundra, I don't know if you want to call it greedy, they made the call that they could get kills down bottom instead of potentially converting onto the tier 3 tower mid, so it's only going to take about half health.
There's always the day, like, anytime you're up against a team.
Is he going for this?
He's freaking March the Machine. Maybe.
What's going on? He's still stuck around for quite a while. He's getting cozy.
I think he's just a little bit hesitant because that tier 1 tower is still up. I think that's the big thing, right? The reinforcements are just able to come so quickly that it's just not worth it.
No one runs straight to top some of the high ground. No one did just get the BKB delivered, but doesn't pop it before the arrow. Sarksa again on point. All he needs is one stun. So got to be cautious though, respecting what some of the MKB getting delivered recently. Just shy of the shackle though from Pure.
It's about that formation though, right? We've seen how unkillable they look when they do have the right heroes in the right places, but find someone off on their own, they don't have that same level of survivability, and the damage is there basically across the board from Tundra. This is a roster that if you're taking like these 2v2, 1v1 skirmishes, they could probably come out on top. Cloud9, they need to play together at this stage, and now they've got the justification to do it. Is that arrow gonna hit? It does. Ramses is there. Doesn't seem like they want to do it though.
Did lane jump in Pure? Does he give him an opportunity? Maybe trying to force out some BKBs. Okay, never mind. It's fine. Too ahead of myself. Still no one dead, and nice to be. The vision game from Tundra has been so exceptional. I mean, the really aggressive wards you see kind of out of the base top and bottom as well. The traps as well around a lot of these choke points to minimize some of the trap vision. Seen often this is something that has been an advantage of a Templar assassin, but not to be this game. Tundra just sweeping from lane to lane.
Radiant's middle tower.
I think the biggest thing that I'm impressed with on Tundra is their itemization as well, right? Like just all of these things that they're going that are basically, no pun intended, nullifying what Cloud9 are trying to do. Sarksa is going for a nullifier as his next item, and when you consider what that can get rid of, you know, the status resist coming from the defense matrix gets rid of some of the Crimson Guard damage block as well coming through. That is a really useful tool. And that's not even just talking about the damage, right? If you've got the Solar Flare plus the Nullifier plus, you know, being a universal hero, all of those items as well.
Smoke, no one can run head first. Oh, what a timing of the tornado! Stops a hoof stomp from DM. The Sandpade's gonna give them time to be able to react.
Solar Flare pops.
Ramsey's taking a lot of damage from the damage out of no one. They might be able to get rid of the Mars, and they will. A 1-for-1 to be able to start the fight. Sarksa with an aggressive jump in, but by himself, he's trying to deal with no one. Sarksa might be able to get the kill somewhere.
No way. Oh, the Matrix.
They stun at the last second, but it doesn't matter. Sarksa assassinates the mid laner, but still over to the right side. Watson, he's trying to find an angle into the middle. A timing of the Hurricane Pike gets a little bit of separation out of Pure. Attempt on the side blade. It's a close one from Watson, but just not enough. And they're going to go for this. A blink onto the low ground, and you forced to fight. Pure will get some distance away. Maybe they want to go back in with the shackles onto 2. Pure, they'll protect it with the Crimson. For the Crimson, is it enough damage mitigation? Pure standing strong, and we see no right clicks out of Watson. The deafening blast, it will now expire. Watson jumps over the top, is able to assassinate the Wind Ranger. Now DM's not done just yet. Thompson stuck around, should be able to get away. And you've got the respawn, so Ramses is back alive. Thompson might be able to catch DM. When blinks up in a couple seconds, but they will not continue the chase. So Cloud9, a great fight for them nonetheless.
A couple of great uses of the Blink Dagger as well, just to go in for that +1 over and over again. DM disjointing a right click from Thompson there, just to be able to go for that extra kill onto Pure. That was his first death for the entire game as well, so you can't discount the amount of net worth that has just been injected straight into Watson, and really showing the value of the MKB in this draft in particular.
What is it? What is the damage from the Veranda? Like, what is that? I mean, always a critique of the Leshrac has been just right-click damage with your low armor. I mean, sure, the Sven is going to help out, but we saw still in that instance that Sarksa was just able to solo kill him.
Right, you just get 160 damage from solo. Very balanced. And that's pre-nullifier. Like, it's getting to the point, honestly, where, like, him and Whitemon, just with sidekick, are going to be able to kill people. Like, there's even extra damage coming from the board there.
Vlad's is also being worked on for the Marcy. So a lot more utility instead of just kind of the raw, maybe solo kill potential that we've seen the Marcy itemize in the past. And I mean, the Vlad's is very cool. You're going to get so much value out of it. You got 3 right clickers, including the Mirana. You know, we've even seen the Mars. You know, there's a potential if you want to go that route for Ramses, but this Vlad's is really going to help out Pure, especially considering we see the damage return that is there with the Blade Mail and the Retaliate.
Mm-hmm. The craziest thing for mine is that just, again, the different mentality when it comes to how to itemize and what sort of strategy to have for the overall draft. Like, I'd say the most defensive item that they've got on Tundra in terms of like damage reduction is probably still this first item Mage Slayer that Thompson went for, right? Like, outside of that, they've got nothing. No pipes, no crimsons, nothing. Yeah, I guess the Greaves a little bit, but just goes to show how strong they are.
The one's gonna run straight to Tundra with a smoke on smoke with a BKB. Ramsey shrugs off the initiation. They're going onto the Centaur, 4,200 health. Is this really the person you want to chuck everything on? DM maybe went a little bit too far forward. Looks like with the Stampede still holding, and are they ready to spring the trap? Watson, do they get a glimpse of him? It actually pops out, but thinks otherwise.
He was trying to just get a BKB out of him. Just that surprise factor. Try and expend as many cooldowns as possible, and I mean, at that point, you did use the Stampede and you did use the BKB for DM. So that's pretty much the only thing that they're lacking right now. So all they're going to do is they know that everyone rotated to be able to defend that. So Kataomi, very quick shove out of the top side of the map. Look to just get even more of this net worth. He's working on a Scythe of Vice for himself on this freaking Tinker. More net worth than DM, by the way. About to overtake Ramses as well, is Kataomi.
Nice read from Tundra. They saw the position of Cloud9 and pinged out the raiding Observer by that T2 tower mid. They will be able to play accordingly. And over towards the east side. Data list now completed from Pure.
The damage. Like,
yeah, fire out.
He's pretty much Exodia status right now. He needs his Aghanim Scepter, an Ag's Blessing, rather.
What's no one doing? They're making a play by themselves and they're going to run it all into Tundra.
They stopped the TP.
They're going to try and come through with someone else, but it doesn't matter. What was this play? And now DM, he's caught too. BKB still on cooldown for 10 seconds. DM, you're looking at buyback status now because you're going to force it out if you're Tundra. You've got a lane down bottom and they're trying to make some individual plays potentially, or we've seen at the moment recently, it's been all 5v5 fights. You're not at the stage where you can go for these maybe, you know, pick-offs onto a solo member.
Yeah, they don't have the damage at that point, and I think that was just a bit of miscommunication. You know, Kataomi was joining in, and you probably do survive if he's actually there with the rest of the boys, right? Just off the back of the Defense Matrix, the March, the Greaves coming through, the Holy Lock.
They're going to be cautious, they step up. Ram's going to be able to land the arena. Looks like it should be a quick and easy kill. Sven's there with the buyback ready as well, but buildings are going to fall. Watson almost gets Ramsey. Watson actually jumps over the top, but Watson!
He's got the extra life.
He's got the Aegis. BKB's going to be popped into the inventory now. Pure doesn't get the force stuck down the low ground. He's got to look for the BKB TP out and will escape, but everyone else is stuck. No one. He'll get up to Whitemon. So they will get 2, but how many buybacks was used there for Cloud9?
3 buybacks used, and you still ended up losing that tier 3 tower. It was a really great placement of the arena as well by Ramses, not only getting those people that were trying to retreat with the use of the Stampede, but also off the back of it, it blocked the tower, so the multi-shot that was trying to clear out some of those siege creeps wasn't all that effective. So they still ended up claiming the tower. They didn't have that extra multi-shot damage coming back the other way. Really good, just little plays coming through here that are setting Tundra apart.
That replay again, of course, the initiation a little bit messy, but there was no response there from Cloud9. But this is where the buybacks was really the big thing for them. But this could now be an issue. We've seen multiple times in some of these fights they are losing members, so a lot they had to invest in this base defense.
I don't think we've actually had a full-on 5v5 yet this entire game. It's always been just like Tundra finding a key pick-off, or Tundra not quite having enough damage to be able to take out Kataomi a little earlier on into the game, right? Full-on 5-on-5, really haven't seen it. And that's what I want to see from C9. I want to see if their strategy is going to work, because the danger is if they go through this entire game and it doesn't work for them, but they haven't had their perfect scenario, maybe they're going to get baited into doing this sort of thing again, and it might just have the exact same outcome that we're seeing so far.
They're going to hug together this time though on C9. Full 5v5. Hobson is currently not with the team.
They know though, instant pings out. Like, they're just using the Pulse Nova on the creep wave makes that very obvious, but well, would have been pretty obvious if someone was just not sitting back and defending that wave either. So you talk about huddling together, that's exactly what Tundra are doing underneath their own bit of vision. And the formation is right on point as well. Ramsey's on the front side. I'm sure he's got the finger on the BKB and the Bulwark as well.
They're all ready to counter. Hobson, if need be, with the Tornado. They're going to go through the portal up to top. You have this lane that's getting heavily shoved in.
Yeah. Becomes a whole lot more obvious what you're trying to do if creep waves aren't being dealt with. There's way too much farm on the map, and that creep wave is way too juicy for no one to be taking it right now. So they are happy to sit this one out on Tundra. They know that they're not going to hit any huge item timings coming up shortly on Cloud9. They know they use the buybacks. They know they need to be very, very conservative. So they're just going to wait out the maximum duration of that smoke and then make one of their own.
See where they want to go. Cloud9 decision is to huddle inside the base. Do have a ward over by their triangle. This is a place maybe they want to position like we saw previously from Tundra. So it does have a ward to place up by the middle set of barracks. No one is currently home though. They will see the less shortly.
Ramses? Well, I was thinking maybe a Blink Hex put back into.
They're gonna go though, team with the jump tops and great reaction. BKB stops initiation over the northern side. Hex is there before the response from Pure, but it's going to be a stun that's off the mark, and no one's health is almost gone. No one has to be cautious. Steps over the west side. Pure's going deep. Should be able to get the kill into Tinker and now retreat. Can you go back in on Cloud9? Still a lot of issues. I mean, the BKB makes it very difficult now without that available on Watson, and Tundra, they can wait. Focus fires back up in 10 seconds. Maybe they'll go from DM. BKB just before the arrow connects.
Again, it still wasn't, like, it was probably the closest we've got to a 5v5, so the positioning wasn't quite there. But they've actually found Watson.
And then the BKB's on cooldown as well. Watson, they're going to be able to get rid of the Templar Assassin. At least he's one of the ones with buyback, but everyone else is caught inside the arena as well.
The blade mail.
Damage from the Pure focus fire. They're all just crumbling. They cannot sustain up against all the items and the net worth that Pure has. Watson's going to be going for a second time, and Tundra, they'll take game one. It looks like in this instance, damage will reign supreme over the survivability.
It does indeed. You know, you can have a shield all you want, but as long as you're just sticking it up, it doesn't actually do anything.